Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news.
Well, that's a good way to start a video. Hey guys, Dragon Knight 13 here, and welcome back to Let's Play Virtue's Last Reward. We're almost done. After learning about who Sigma is and the grand plan, we have now jumped way back in time. Like 40 years.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday, our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
Oh. Well, okay. You know what? In the back of my mind, wasn't expecting that to be the way she went out. I thought like the camera would cut out and it'd be implied that she died, but okay, no, that works. Oh, hi, Zero. Ah! God damn it, it's still Akane. I mean, I figured, but...
It looks like the first step was successful. Killed? Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of a knife. You're fine. Yes, you and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way. Yes, I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump.
Okay, so where is she? That's my question. Oh, is she in one of the pods, maybe?
Now, you know what happens next, right? Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods. Yes. Phi, we put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who had jumped from Point C, though.
Okay.
It was Phi before she jumped from Point A to Point D.
Jesus. Oh, this is so hard to keep track of.
In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
Okay, alright. I think I get it. But... This plot is so hard to keep track of with who's where and when and ugh.
Yes. The Point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years. Sleeping in ice. Correct.
You know what? I am kind of disappointed we're not getting a young Akane model, but whatever. It works.
We can't do that. You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines.
Oh, God.
Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph.
Can't they just, like, take the knowledge from the future and give me a head start with
And
that?
of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark.
So you're just the zero that started it, I'm the zero that continued it. Okay. That makes sense. Do I get to keep the ropes, though?
Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the 3rd AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
See, plots like these always kind of bother me because I don't know, something about like time travel and predestination always kind of bugs me. I can't explain it. It's just not my favorite kind of story. Not saying it's bad, just not my thing, usually.
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die.
And this all seems way too complicated of a plan of jumping like through like 5 different midpoints just for the sake of getting older Sigma and Phi into younger Sigma and Phi. Like, did we really need all these steps? I don't know.
Only you and Phi can save them. I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help. What do you mean? You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
Yeah, and after that we don't know. Like, we're winging it.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place. That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility.
I mean, fair enough, but just because I figure out what happens there doesn't mean I can stop
Things
it.
will be difficult. And I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger.
I mean, what if I have to do like 20 more jumps once I get there just to find out exactly what I need to know?
But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle. The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So, I suppose you could say you told me, after you failed, that the test facility is full of traps. There was one point. A woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
Oh, that would explain the bionetic arms. Bionetic? I don't think that's a word. Oh, well, shit. Wasn't expecting that. How did I not notice these before? How did I not notice my lack of depth perception?
Go have a look.
Ah, crap, it's time for the reactors to blow. Yeah, that's a good mindset. I mean, we still don't know how we're going to succeed, but yeah. All right. Brief but nice. Now we're going to go back to Test facility? No. Hold up. Wait. Pardon me, but, no, I need... I don't have anywhere else to go. I'm out of places. What? It's no locks, no... What? Am I dumb? What? Hold up, what? I don't... Hang on. Is there something I'm just not noticing? End or beginning. Unless that's just... That can't be it! What? No, 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 no. You can't end like that. You can't... Really? Okay, we're not out of this yet. So I was kind of stumped as to the hell's going on with that ending, but here is the thing. I don't remember where the safe is in here. Here it is. Okay. Here's the thing. There is more to this. But in order to get more, you have to clear every... You have to clear every room on hard. Which I can do since I have the passwords for most of them. Got this one and the security room are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head where I had to switch to easy, so we're gonna get these out of the way. And then we'll see what our rewards are. See you there. Here we go. Escaped every room on hard.
Wait.
Nope, no waiting. We're gonna save. Ta-da! Another time.
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle.
Oh shit, this is young Sigma's voice. We finally get to hear it.
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
So I guess, is this in the timeline where Akane took on the armor? But then why is Luna here? Or are we dealing with something so bizarre it's gonna blow my mind? Oh, well, no, Dio's still here. So this is definitely that timeline.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi.
Right, and then she knocked them both out.
How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a
Oh,
while.
that's
to
nice
have
at
an
least.
effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes,
Why am I here?
the doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the Doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Am I not supposed to know that? Was Kyle not in on the plan? Or that he was a clone? Well,
Dio
I guess
seems to
going
have
by-
remained unconscious.
Kay's flashback backstory, I guess he wasn't aware of him being a clone, so fair enough. I guess him knowing is kind of odd.
Yes. I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What about the others?
Fitting end for Dio.
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right. Mr. Klein.
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
Damn, I want to see Talking Kyle model, but whatever, we'll stay in first person, it works.
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Oh, by the way, let me take this moment to apologize to Quark. I was so suspicious of you being an evil bastard at the beginning, but now I know that was all Dio. You had nothing to do with it. You're an innocent little kid. I apologize. Fuck Dio. And moving on.
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help?
Well, I mean, it's not, but now there's going back
You're
there.
gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you?
You know, technically, this is another thing about, like, time travel stories that always bugged me, was, like, and some stories do tackle this, the idea of, if the past is changed, what happens to the present? Is it just, I can't snap today, that's better. Is it just, bam, everything's, changed? Does this world just disappear? Does this world just continue on and then it's a completely different world that's fine and dandy? But given the explanation in this game about the many worlds, I'm going to go with this world's going to keep going even after Sigma changes the past. So, yeah, that Earth that's devastated, this timeline's Earth is always going to be devastated.
You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did, or didn't do in the past, that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example.
Damn, didn't even space after that period. He's so eager to give the
Imagine
example.
a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you go with D delivery company.
The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Technically true.
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid, joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories. Friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
Yeah, I can see where he's going, where he's coming from with this. But on the other hand, it's not 90 people that died. It's more like, 5 billion or something like that. It's a slightly different measure here. Oh, and there's also the fact that, the survivors' lives are probably pretty miserable. All things considered, considering they had to nuke the Earth to get rid of the virus, and they still can get rid of it. Just saying, maybe they could live fulfilling lives in the other timeline.
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, that is technically true. Sorry, Quark. Shit. I didn't think of that. Well, there'll be other old men who can take you in and give you root beer floats.
No. It's not gonna happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just gonna disappear or something.
Oh! Then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Vi, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Damn straight.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course.
Yeah, I imagine he's cut back on the dad jokes a lot in 45 years. Less dad jokes, less swimsuits, less trying to get in Clover's pants. He's probably not as fun of a dude anymore. Like, I can't imagine.
He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
That fucking reminds me. Is older Fi in Fi's body right now? Do we get a hint at what she's like?
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew.
Aw, man. That sucks.
She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
Oh, that's depressing.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you guys saved lives. Well, Alice saved lives. Clover was... She was here, and that's what matters.
But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Vi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028.
Clover, were you listening to exactly what happens? Because, they're going back in time to try and stop a disease from breaking out. That's not having it easy. Like, they're trying to save the fucking world.
They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
You know, assuming they don't die.
we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Ten Myoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck
Very
in the
true.
reality where the 90 bikers died.
And where you
we're
skipped over
supposed to go live
10,000
on Earth.
miles.
It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
That is a very good question. What's going on with Clover's brother? I mean, I have a bad feeling about... I have a bad feeling that he might be connected to Free the Soul, considering the leader's name is brother, but I don't have any evidence pointing to that other than his name, so we're just gonna drop it.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different. How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
Really?
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
You got me, I don't know.
Schrodinger's
Cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle.
Alright. Am I dealing with 45-year later Phi and young Phi body?
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Great.
Glad to see you.
Hi, Dad.
There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind.
Another thing that crosses my mind is, how did Sigma not notice his voice was different? I don't know. There's a bunch of small little plot holes that come up when you think about suddenly being in an old body and not noticing somehow, but it's a suspension of disbelief and all that, I suppose.
I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Oh, thanks.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Oh, right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a Merman or a Wolfman. I'm not a Brahmin or Common or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Unfortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future.
Oh my god, this is so hard to keep track of.
You that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor.
It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
And I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
Kyle, you're not nearly as fun as your dad.
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation. Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying?
So you're a velocity is what I'm getting at here.
In most situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So was that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter.
Mm-hmm.
But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't.
You're opening the cat box if you say what happened in that
Why
facility?
would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this?
I just know. Oh, damn it.
You know my past. Sigma's past.
Well, enough of that scene.
I shall give you your answer. You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time.
It's Kyle in young Sigma's body?
I doubt you know how.
And it's Sigma in Kyle's body?
Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare. But that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the Doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
there's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
Is this a new character entirely?
I have no idea what you...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality?
Because you're missing a lot of steps in between would be my thought, but...
Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
Right, but... but... And that is it, unfortunately. As far as I'm aware, that is the end of this game. We don't even get a credit sequence for that. That's disappointing. But... alright. I guess I'll give my thoughts on this game. This was a damn good game. It really was. You know, this doesn't feel right without credits playing over it. Here. Can we play the Phi ending and then have credits? No. Alright, never mind. I'll just put the music in and editing. But this was a very good game. But I kind of like the first game better. I'm not saying that's a fault of this game. Let me explain what I mean. One, this game had a hell of a lot going on for it. Like, hell of a lot. Compared to this, the first game is downright simple. And I was confused as hell when I finished that game, but damn, this has so many more plot threads going through it that it's hard to keep track of. And then you got it's got good changes to gameplay in that, and the safe and password system to let you bypass puzzle rooms. Good idea. because that was a horrible thing in the first game, where every time you started a new playthrough to do different decisions and get a different ending, you had to resolve all the puzzle rooms again. But this had a way around that. Good. The problem is, it didn't really need it. Not really. Because it also introduced this flowchart mechanic, which is a really good idea. It's just quickly go back to a decision and continue the plot from there. The problem was, it showed all the things, minus the hidden endings and all the beginning and ends. But it showed all the things right off the bat, so you would know, oh, I go, if I choose this way, I get 2 different premature ends compared to if I went the other way. So it's kind of spoilery in that regard. But the other thing about this is that it is very clearly a second game in a trilogy. Like the first game, it had a few open ends, but it felt complete. This game is very clearly just here to bridge a gap between games 1 and 3. Very clearly just to do that. Not saying it doesn't have a plot of its own, just that it feels incomplete. Like, it doesn't feel like this game actually ends on its own, which is really disappointing. Like, I don't feel like... I feel disappointed. And again, it's not a fault of this game, because obviously, when they did this game, they had a plan for the third game, and they were ready to do that. And they just needed to do this game as a middle point. So it is what it is, you know? But, yeah, I can't help but be disappointed by that. Everything else is good, though. Like, I generally like the characters, minus Dio. And I admit Clover's new design, not a fan of it. I think she's an example of they went a little too over the top with some character designs. And that's my cat playing in the background. I gave him some catnip hoping he would calm down. He is not. So we're gonna hear him for the next couple minutes, I'm sure. But I liked her design in the first game better. Everyone else looks alright, minus Quark's hat. But I generally liked all the characters. Minus Dio. And Dio was actually another problem with the story I had, was Dio should not have been the terrorist. Let me explain myself. Because here's the thing, Dio was a dick the entire game. Like, every opportunity he had to be a dick, he was a dick. He would betray you in, like, almost every single timeline. Like, he always betrayed whenever he voted. He was just an asshole. So when it's revealed that he's the terrorist, it doesn't come off as a shock, it just comes off as, I fucking knew it. Right? It would have been a bigger shock if it turned out that, just to give an example, let's make Luna the terrorist, just as an example. This is before the whole Gollum revelation. Because she was so nice, like, she was genuinely nice, she always voted ally. You know? She was almost kind of like the motherly figure of the group. And then just imagine that was all a ploy, and she was actually the one running around planting the bombs and killing everybody. That would be a better plot twist, but whatever. At the end of the day, fuck Dio is what I'm getting at here. But yeah, there's a bunch of little things like Luna's romance with Dr. Klein. Well, possibly one-sided romance? It's not expanded on. And that's the problem with this game. Is because it's the second part of a trilogy, it doesn't take the time to expand on everything. And it's leaving too much open for the third game. And that is disappointing. Like, it's a good game, I recommend it, but only if you're going to continue with the series. Because you cannot... there's no way. You cannot recommend this game on its own. You have to play this as a part of the trilogy. You have to play this after the first game, and you have to play the third game after it. Otherwise, this is just disappointing. And I can't imagine, because I got into this series as the third game was coming out. Like, and it wasn't even intentional. It was just like, I was bored. I'd heard good things about Virtue's Last Reward, so I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then I tried it, and I found out it was fucking amazing. And that's when I decided to do an LP of the second game. But, you know, but yeah, by the time I've really gotten started on this LP, the third game was already out. And so I can dive right into the next game, but God, I cannot imagine being left with this and having to wait for several months or however long it took for the third game to come out. Like, that's... But if I had to give an overall verdict, I didn't like it as much as the first game, but that's to be expected because it's the middle part of a trilogy, and that always happens with the middle parts of trilogies. And I'm expecting to like the third game more than this, possibly more than the first one. We'll see. All I know about the third game, is I saw the cover art very briefly. I didn't look very hard at it. I was just like, yep, that's a bunch of characters and that's a new art style. Cool. But the one thing I've seen about that game is the new Plague Doctor looking Zero. And the fact they're going with a new Zero design makes me very excited, so I'm hoping the third one's gonna be good. And I'm thinking it's not even much of like a me being clever thinking about this. It's very obviously setting this up that the third game's gonna be about the Mars test site in Radical 6, and so the Mars test site became the site of a nonary game? Is that what's gonna happen? Sounds interesting. But we'll get to there when we get to there. For now, thank you all for watching. This is Dragoneye 13, signing out and saying, for one last time, fuck Dio.